The Polish National Institute of Memory destroys 4 Soviet monuments to the Red Army.
The monuments were put up in 1945 to commemorate Red Army soldiers who died while fighting to defeat Nazi troops. More details on this later in the news. Good evening. I'm CJ Hero.
I am Nina Richie Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. Landslides and floods killed dozens of people as heavy rains from Storm Paeng lashed southern Philippines, with some residents stranded on rooftops. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. signs the Executive Order No. 7 to formalize relaxation of policy on indoor mask wearing. The Department of Justice is set to file charges next week against individuals involved in the killing of radio broadcaster Percy Lapid. Russian President Vladimir Putin warns of unpredictable decade ahead. And, according to media reports, billionaire Elon Musk fires top executives of Twitter. Pag-asa announced that Tropical Storm Paeng has intensified slightly while moving west-northwestward at around 25 kilometers per hour towards the Albay-Sorsogon area. Per the latest track and intensity forecast of Pag-asa, the highest wind signal that would likely be hoisted is wind signal number 3 in anticipation of storm force conditions associated with Paeng. In its 8 p.m. update, the center of Tropical Storm Paeng was estimated at 100 kilometers east-northeast of Catarman, northern Samar. Paeng has a maximum sustained winds of 85 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 105 kilometers per hour. According to Pag-asa, Paeng will make landfall in northern Samar this Friday night. The Weather Bureau also said Paeng may make another landfall over the east coast of Quezon, including the Polillo Islands. Some areas under signal number 2 are Metro Manila, Bulacan, Cavite, northern and central portions of Oriental Mindoro, Catanduanes, and northern Samar. Meanwhile, some areas in signal number 1 are Nueva Vizcaya, or southern portion of Ilocos Sur, Bataan, Occidental Mindoro, including Luban Islands, Negros Occidental, Cebu, including Bantayan and Camotes Islands, eastern portions of Misamis Oriental, and Dinagat Islands.
31 individuals are reportedly dead and 5 are missing due to flooding and landslides in Maguindanao because of Tropical Storm Paeng. Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or BARM, Interior and Local Minister Attorney Nagib Sinarimbo said 19 of the fatalities are from the town of Datu Odin Sinsuat, 10 from Datu Blas Sinsuat, and 5 in North Upi. The BARM Rapid Emergency Action on Disaster Incidents already reported that 5 individuals are missing. Sinarimbo said they continue to monitor towns gravely affected by floods due to torrential rains since Thursday night. BARM Ready has deployed 2 rubber boats each to the towns of Sultan Kudarat, North Upi, Datu Odin, Sinsuat, Gindulungan, and Cotabato City. In North Upi, residents affected by floods were evacuated at the municipal gymnasium, but flood waters also reached the gymnasium, so evacuees there had to go to the highest part of the bleachers. Rescue operations continue through the joint efforts of the military, the police, Bureau of Fire Protection, and rescue agencies from different provinces. Sinarimbo said the 6th Infantry Division has coordinated with the Western Mindanao Command of the Philippine Army to use choppers for the ocular inspections in affected areas and, of course, relief missions as flood victims need drinking water and food supplies.
In Balete, Aklan, 915 individuals are evacuated due to massive floods brought by Typhoon Paeng. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, said this is the first time that floods in the area nearly reach the roofs of houses. Power is currently cut off and residents use only generators. No casualties have been reported, but some residents are trapped inside and on the roof of their houses while waiting for rescue. There are also residents stranded in schools and their vehicles are stuck because of the floods. Local officials have started distributing food packs to evacuation centers and others affected by typhoon. The LGU plans to recommend the declaration of a state of calamity due to heavy flooding.
Sea travel to and from areas affected by Tropical Storm Paeng have been suspended. Should you be changing your travel plans? Madeline Villar Moratillo tells us which ports are covered by the PPA advisory.
Due to Tropical Storm Paeng, thousands of passengers are stranded in various ports as authorities suspended all sea travels to and from areas affected by the typhoon. In its advisory, the Philippine Ports Authority said they suspended sea travels in Eastern Samar areas, particularly Borongan, Calbayog, Catbalogan, Giwan, and San Isidro. Sea travels are also suspended in Bicol, particularly in Legazpi, Piodoran, Tabaco, Matnog, Catanduanes, and San Andres. In Marinduque and Quezon, sea travel is suspended in Lucena, San Andres, Balanacan, Kawit, and Santa Cruz. The same goes for the port of Batangas and Tablas in Romblon, as well as in Masbate in the ports of Aroroy, Kawayan, Claveria, Esperanza, and Manawan. In Bohol, sea travels are halted in the base port of Tagbilaran to Dumaguete, Siquijor, and Cebu City, and the scheduled sea travel to Cordoba going to Bato and Hilongos in Leyte and Camiguin respectively. Sea travels are also suspended in Guimaras at the base port of Iloilo and port of Estancia. Also covered by the PPA advisory are the scheduled sea travels at the port of San Jose, Liapata, Dapa, Tandag, Dinagat, and Surigao del Norte in Surigao provinces. Authorities also suspended sea travel in Misamis Oriental, particularly from Camiguin to Hagna and those going to Bohol. Madeline Villar Moratillo reporting for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. signs Executive Order Number 7, allowing the voluntary wearing of face masks in indoor and outdoor settings. This means the public now has the option to wear face masks or not in indoor settings. The EO stated that the policy is a step towards normalization and a welcome development that could encourage activities and boost efforts towards the full reopening of the economy. However, the directive still recommends the wearing of face masks for the elderly, individuals with comorbidities, immunocompromised individuals, pregnant women, as well as unvaccinated individuals and people with COVID-19 symptoms. Meanwhile, the president urged the general public to exercise diligence in carrying out health protocols, such as practicing good hygiene, frequent hand washing, physical distancing, and maintenance of good ventilation, especially in indoor settings.
House Speaker Martin Romualdez vowed to act on the priority legislative agenda of the Marcos administration when the session resumes on November 7. These include the Governance Act that he sponsored, or House Bill Number 3, which aims to digitalize the records of the government to accelerate the delivery of services and get rid of red tapes in government transactions. This is in response to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s call to pass the E-Governance Act for the country to keep up with other countries in the digital economy. At the House of Representatives, Romualdez said they have started the digitalization project, and House Secretary General Reginald Velasco has met with representatives of the Congressional Research Service of the Library in Washington, D.C. The House Committee on Information and Communications Technology has also created a technical working group to consolidate the e-governance bill at the lower chamber.
The Department of Justice has identified the possible mastermind in the slaying of radio broadcaster Percival Mabasa or Percy Lapid, and charges may be filed by next week. Another person of interest is now in the custody of the National Bureau of Investigation. Moira Encina tells us more.
The assassination of broadcaster Percival Mabasa or Percy Lapid is gradually coming to light following the joint effort of the National Bureau of Investigation and the Philippine National Police on the case. The DOJ said the partnership between the two agencies also investigates the death of the supposed middleman in the Lapid slaying inmate June Villamor.
I think we're onto something. The story is becoming a bit clearer, but of course, again, we have to be cautious because we don't want to jump into any conclusions.
DOJ spokesperson Assistant Secretary Miko Clavano also said they want the case to be airtight before releasing any information.
It's very possible that we're also being led, to a certain story, but as a matter of fact, there are other things we have to consider. So the investigation, we have to step back and take a look at the story that we're building up here to make sure that this is really the storyline that we have to go down. We're not closing any other doors to the possibility of other people being involved also.
Justice Secretary Spin Remulla announced that possible charges against those involved in Lapid slaying might be filed by next week.
Very satisfactory. I think we've made a lot of progress. I think that we can... The proper cases can be filed by the end of next week, hopefully.
Remulla added that the mastermind may have already been identified in the course of the investigation. Clavano also confirmed the transfer of another person of interest in the case from the facility of ISAP or Intelligence Service of the Armed Forces of the Philippines to the NBI. The official said the NBI and PNP will also get a testimony of the said individual who is a person deprived of liberty or PDL.
Around midnight, there was a transfer from the Intelligence Service of the AFP detention facility. There's one inmate there who was transferred to the NBI custody as well. Around midnight na transfer yun. So today there will be an investigation and question and answer. Hopefully we get his statement as well.
Meanwhile, the authorities asked for an extension in releasing the result of the second autopsy with the remains of Villamor. Clavano's forensic pathologist Dr. Raquel Fortun wants the report to be complete and thorough before releasing her autopsy report.
We will be releasing the report that Dr. Fortun will be coming up with. She's just asking for a bit more time to come up with a full report.
Remulla himself seeks the second autopsy on the remains of the dead middleman. The initial autopsy report by the NBI
Sa bawat sumbong may responding katapat. Hindi nagdadalawang isip na tumulong sino man ang nangangailangan. Kanal na sana'y may pakinabang pero mas nagdulot ng pagbaha sa isang lugar sa Valenzuela City, ating inimbestigahan. Kasipagan ng isang bata para makatulong sa kanyang lola at mga kapatid. Viral ngayon sa social media, ating inayudahan. Mula sa sariling alawan, ang mga kabataang ito nabuo ang pagnanais na rumisponde sa kapwa. inyo nang makikilala. At pagbibigay ng mga bisikleta at iba pang tulong, inireresponde ng grupong Courage to be Kind. Bago nating i-responders, makikilala na. Mapapanood nyo kami sa mga sumusunod na mga channels. Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Ito ang Responde, Mata ng Mamamayan.
Familiar sa akin yung tunog na yun.
So ano nga bang nagustuhan mo kay Doc Willie?
Si Doc Willie ay healthy living. Papa, kaya ko ipaglaban. Sino mo yun? Ikaw talaga mahal ko. Ako? Ako? Ako?
Hi guys, this is Jerome Ponce at iniimbitahan ko po kayo na magluto tayo.
Jerome! Nakakatuwa naman nakasama mo kami ngayong umaga para magluto.
Ng Pinoy Almusal Favorites. 11 a.m. po yan, this coming Saturday sa Net 25, Lutong Daza.
Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo pag together, let's stand together sa Net 25.
This portion is brought to you by
We bring you more news here on Mata ng Agila International. The strong quake last Tuesday affected or severely affected some areas in Batac, Ilocos Norte. Many of the infrastructure there were damaged and several houses are ruined. The FIVOX and the Bureau of Fire Protection continue to visit and assess earthquake-impacted areas and damaged buildings in Batac town. From Batac, Ilocos Norte, we are joined live by Erlo Bringas. Erlo.
CJ, after the another earthquake in Abra, this town of Batac, Ilocos Norte also felt another quake. Many homes and buildings were damaged by the harmful 6.4 magnitude earthquake last Tuesday. The damage from the last earthquake is still visible in some towns in Batac, Ilocos Norte. In the photo shared by some residents affected by the earthquake on Net 25 News, the houses were destroyed, the walls of the homes came down, and the roads were cracked. On this road in the Binakag part, there is another landslide. Properties inside the houses cannot be used anymore since the walls of the houses have collapsed. To further assess the damage of the earthquake, the DOST FIVOX Ilocos Norte conducted a site inspection in the areas in Batac City that were also affected by the last earthquake. The Bureau of Fire Protection has also conducted an assessment of the infrastructure in the damaged establishment. The buildings have visible cracked walls and collapsed poles. The support beams of the buildings have also fallen. I also see the damage, especially at the Mariano Marcos Memorial Hospital. The intensive care unit was also ruined, but the patients have been evacuated to safety. Batac City, Ilocos Norte was one of those that experienced a strong earthquake on Tuesday that reached intensity 5. The town of Abra and its neighbors continue to experience aftershocks caused by the last earthquake. CJ, according to Ilocos Norte Governor Matthew Marcos Manotoc, they have already provided aid to all the residents affected by the earthquake here in their town. The suspension of the class has been lifted since yesterday, but it is up to the decision of the school division mayors and school head to suspend the class to all levels, and they depend on the situation. The government offices also back in operation unless the head states that their work area is still unsafe. Until now, CJ, some of the areas near the Tineg Abra or the epicenter of the earthquake last Tuesday is still experiencing some aftershocks. But as of now, here in Batac, Ilocos Norte, the situation is normal and all of the residents is back to their normal life. CJ.
All right. Well, Erlo, you did show us a lot of public infrastructure there, like the schools and the hospitals severely damaged, and some of them even look like they're beyond repair. I want to check on the situation in the hospital there, the Mariano Marquez, if I get the name right, the hospital there. You said it was the intensive care unit that was affected?
Yeah, the intensive care unit of that hospital is already affected, but the hospital is now back to normal. Only the intensive care unit area is cannot be used by the hospital because of the damage of the earthquake, CJ.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Erlo. It's nice to hear that it's back in operation now. But we are also, please do send our regards for everyone over there. We're just worried because there's a lot of earthquakes happening there recently.
Yeah, but as of now, CJ, there's a it's around the 2.2 magnitude earthquake we experience here in Batac, Ilocos Norte. But the situation near the Tineg Abra, especially for those there near the nearby that province, is experiencing more intensive aftershock because of this earthquake. But some of the residents there is also experiencing some traumas because last August or I think July, they also experienced some earthquakes, but others is back to normal while experiencing this kind of aftershocks, CJ.
All right. Thank you so much, Erlo, for reporting there. And, of course, please do take care and tell us more if there are any more developments happening there. Russian President Vladimir Putin says the decade ahead will be the most dangerous since the end of the World War II, as he accuses the West of trying to dominate the world. Speaking at the annual meeting of the Valdai Discussion Club, the president said the situation, to an extent, is revolutionary. Putin said that the Ukraine offensive is only part of the tectonic shifts of the entire world order, adding that the period of dominance of the West in world affairs is coming to an end. He said the West cannot rule over all of humanity, but it is desperately trying to do so.
International inspectors will be going to Ukraine to investigate Russian allegations that Ukraine is developing a dirty bomb. Rafael Grossi, head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, says the Ukrainian government has invited inspectors to conduct the investigation.
I am very grateful for the openness that the Ukrainian government, and I had a very comprehensive discussion with Foreign Minister Kuleba about this. He came to the conclusion, and I agreed, that the best way to dispel any doubt is to allow the inspectors in. And this is what we're going to do.
Ukraine has denied the Russian allegations, and they have been dismissed by several international leaders.
Russian ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said that probably one reason Kyiv is using nuclear blackmail is to extort more financial and military aid from the West. RT News said large amounts of money were also transferred into the own accounts of Kyiv's officials to protect themselves rather than the people of Ukraine. Zakharova particularly noted that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged NATO earlier this month to undertake a preemptive nuclear strike against Russia. Zelensky claimed that his insinuations about preemptive NATO strikes on Russia had been mistranslated, and he meant preventive kicks. Zakharova insisted Zelensky was willing to start a nuclear confrontation. Though Kyiv does not have nuclear warheads, Putin government has accused Zelensky's government of building a dirty bomb and plotting to use it in a false flag attack. that would be blamed on Russia to provoke increased Western involvement in the conflict. Ukraine and its supporters continuously dismissed Russia's claims as absurd.
Ukrainian forces have launched a strike on an oil depot in the town of Shakhtarsk in the Donetsk region, causing a massive fire in the area. Local authorities said they are still confirming if there are casualties, but civilians in the area have been evacuated as authorities fear the blaze would spread in the houses. Roman Kosarov of RT News has the details.
According to local authorities, Ukrainian military struck a train station in the town of Shakhtarsk in the Donetsk People's Republic. As the result, well, you can see it right behind me. A train full of fuel was caught on fire. Actually, 12 tanks are now completely destroyed. You can see the blaze is getting stronger and stronger. Now, emergency ministry are now working on this scene, trying to put this blaze out. According to authorities, a firefighting train is also on the way here. Now, while we were working, we heard a couple of explosions as more and more tanks are getting caught on fire. Now, this entire area has now been cleared from any civilians who have been evacuated, because authorities are worried that this fire may spread to houses as well.
There were two explosions. The first was smaller and the second was louder. The tank exploded. I didn't hear the strike itself. I have a feeling that they blew it up on the spot. By the time we got out, everything was on fire.
A drone flew and hit a tank of gasoline. My wife heard the explosion. The tank was clearly full. It did not explode. It just hissed very strongly and caught fire.
At the moment, firefighters are still trying to put out the blaze, but we can already take a look at some of the consequences of this blast. Take a look at this. This railway is now completely destroyed. It's still smoking. And you can still see behind me, one of the tanks is still on fire. This is probably the consequences of the Ukrainian rocket that landed here and created this fire. These are the tankers. Now, these are still intact, but the firefighters are doing everything they can so that the fire from other tanks does not spread to these ones. And so far, we still don't know whether there were any casualties at all. I guess we will find out once this operation is complete.
South Korea's military said North Korea fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles on Friday, the latest in a blitz of launches that Washington and Seoul have warned could culminate in another nuclear test. The ballistic missiles were fired from the Tongchon area in Gangwon. The launch came after the South's 12 days of amphibious naval military exercises, which involved key security ally, the USA. According to some reports, the said naval exercises enraged Pyongyang, which sees them as rehearsals for invasion. Pyongyang has repeatedly justified its blitz of missile launches as necessary countermeasures to what it deems as U.S. aggression. In return, Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff said in a statement they increased monitoring and surveillance in the region. It also said it will maintain a full readiness posture in close coordination with the U.S. Seoul and Washington will conduct more combined air drills that will involve more than 200 U.S. and South Korean fighter jets on Monday.
A deadly knife attack in a supermarket in Milan, Italy, has left 1 person dead and 4 others injured. One of the injured citizens was Spanish soccer player Pablo Omari. Authorities say a man grabbed a knife off a shelf at the store and randomly began attacking people, killing a supermarket employee. A 46-year-old man was arrested immediately after the attack. Police say he was apparently suffering from psychological problems. Local media reports none of the injured suffered life-threatening injuries.
4 communist-era monuments in Poland have been removed. The monuments were put up in 1945 to commemorate Red Army soldiers who died while fighting to defeat Nazi troops. While Russia portrays itself as a liberator of Poland at the end of the war, most Poles think Moscow simply replaced Nazi rule with communist repression. Poland has been removing symbols of the former Soviet Union's domination after World War II. The recent removal of monuments also underscores Poland's condemnation of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Iran has imposed retaliatory sanctions against several European Union officials, media outlets, and NGOs, alleging that individuals and institutions in the bloc are fueling ongoing rioting in the country. Included in the blacklist are Germany's Deutsche Welle Persian, France's RFI Persian, and French-funded International League Against Racism and Anti-Semitism. Some European officials, including MEPs, French lawmakers and heads of French municipalities are also on the list. Tehran also imposed restrictions on two senior figures of the German tabloid Bild. Those on the list are subject to visa bans and the seizure of any property or assets the targeted individuals and entities have in Iran. Tehran said that these organizations encouraged and provoked terrorism, violence, and hatred in their country. Meanwhile, EU quickly criticized Iran's retaliatory actions. EU Foreign Affairs spokesman Peter Stano described Iran's sanctions as purely politically motivated. Stano also continued to express concerns about Iran's ongoing violent repression of anti-government protests due to the death of Mahsa Amini. He said that instead of focusing on political retaliation and counter-sanctions, Iran's leaders need to listen to their own population.
Today, former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan launched a so-called long march on the capital, Islamabad, to demand early elections. Khan's party aims to pile up pressure on the government, which is already in crisis. Thousands of people are expected to join a convoy that will travel around 380 kilometers from Lahore to Islamabad over the next week, stopping along the way to hold rallies and gather more protesters. Muhammad Mashar, one of Khan's supporters, said they need to rid the country of looters and thieves who are taking Pakistan's money for their own interests. Other protesters said they need to save the country and change the government system. Meanwhile, security has already been tightened in the capital, with hundreds of shipping containers positioned at key intersections, ready to block marchers should they try to storm the government enclave. Khan was booted from office in April by a no-confidence vote after defections by some of his coalition partners, yet he retains a mass public support system in Pakistan. Up next, hundreds in Tibet stage rare protest against COVID lockdowns. Residents on edge as Uganda reports Ebola cases in Kampala. And source says no plans for Prince William to go to Qatar World Cup. These and more stories from around the globe when Mata ng Agila International returns.
Kulang na sa tamis, kulang sa anghang ang inyong pagsasama.
Dolce, masyado na tayong matanda sa mga dramang ganyan.
Kung nanggaling yan sa bibig mo, matanda na ako, luma, losyang.
Chicken, adobong baboy.
Alam kong sukang-suka ka na sa adobo ko.
Magbalik yung spark nila sa isa't isa. Diba?
Love, Boss Leng, and Tali. Tuwing linggo, alas 6 ng gabi dito lang sa Net 25.
Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo pag together. Let's get together sa Net 25.
pinag-aaway nila tayo? Teka muna, wag mo muna sagutin. Sandali lang. Now, the Corina Sanchez talking to Karen Davila. In her house. Di ba? Masyado kang nakakatakot noon. So, hindi kita naman makausap. Nakakatakot po siya talaga noon, ha? Huwag i-deny. Sandali lang. At huwag ikat. Huwag hindi ikat. natin ikakat.
Di ba show ko to? Bakit ako
Parang
yung tinatanong? It only happens on Corina Interviews.
Okay na.
This portion is brought to you by Source Alliance.
Footage has emerged showing what appear to be rare large-scale protests against strict COVID-19 measures in the Tibetan capital, Lhasa. The city has been under lockdown for nearly 3 months as it battles a wave of COVID infections. Multiple videos on social media show hundreds demonstrating and clashing with police. Local reports say the protesters belong to the ethnic Han Chinese migrant workers. The Lhasa residents have complained of food shortages and poor conditions in mass quarantine facilities. One of the videos show an official shouting through a megaphone, pleading to the protesters to understand their work, go home, and not crowd the area. The recent demonstrations are believed to be the largest since 2008, when large-scale protests against Chinese authorities increased repression towards the majority ethnic Tibetan population were violently subdued.
To Uganda now, where there is an outbreak of Ebola. Health Minister Ruth Jane Aseng inaugurated a new Ebola treatment unit in Mubende, the epicenter of the said outbreak, as the number of confirmed cases continue to rise. As of this week, the country has reported 14 confirmed cases of Ebola in the greater Kampala region. The Health Ministry also confirmed that there are 90 cases and 28 deaths due to the virus. Despite the rising figures, Aseng continued or assured its anxious residents that the situation in the capital was under control. She also announced that the situation in the other Ebola treatment units is that it is full to capacity with cases coming in from Kansanga. She said that they will shift the patients immediately once the mental health units are created next week. The new Ebola treatment unit has the capacity to hold 60 patients. But to better address the situation, the Health Ministry is also setting up one at the Mulago National Referral Hospital and another one in Entebbe. However, some individuals expressed worry and complained that the government has not done much to sensitize Kampala residents. They said that though the disease is in their midst, parties and music concerts are still held in Kampala. Ebola is spread through bodily fluids, with common symptoms being fever, vomiting, bleeding, and diarrhea. The particular strain now circulating in Uganda is known as the Sudan Ebola virus, for which there is no current vaccine.
In the wake of record profit reports by big oil companies, California Governor Gavin Newsom moves to penalize oil price gouging. Megs Estrella has the details.
Governor Gavin Newsom moves for a price gouging penalty in the wake of record profits posted by oil companies. This action will place money back into consumers' wallets and control increasing gas prices in the state. Oil companies are profiting in the state at the expense of Californians. There are 5 major oil refineries supplying about 97% of California's gasoline: Chevron, Marathon Petroleum, PBF Energy, Phillips 66, and Valero. According to Consumer Watchdog, for the second quarter of the year, these 5 companies posted an increase of around 3 to 10 times more in revenue per gallon in comparison to the previous year. Valero Energy Corporation had second quarter profits of $4.7 billion, which is an increase of 2,801%. Trailing behind with more record increases are Phillips 66 at 981% and Chevron at 276%. This week, Valero is the first to release its third quarter financial report. The oil company recorded $2.82 billion in net income from July to September, compared to $463 million last year. That is an increase of more than 500%. PBF Energy and Chevron are also scheduled to report their financial results, followed by Marathon Petroleum and Phillips 66 next week. Huge profits are expected. In this third quarter alone, oil companies increased gas prices to record high for consumers, although crude oil prices and state taxes and fees decreased. The California governor has already taken steps to decrease gas prices by going to winter blend gasoline, which is a lower grade but less costly to produce. He is also making oil companies doing businesses in the state accountable. Californians will be happy to see that gas prices have been decreasing at the pumps. Mex Australia, Los Angeles, California, Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
To Ontario now in Canada, John Tory of Toronto wins his third term as mayor with over 60% of his voters or of the voters in his favor. We have Joshua Santillana with a report.
John Tory wins Toronto's mayoral elections Monday and will serve his third term as mayor of the largest city in Canada. He is set to be the longest-serving mayor of the city. The 67-year-old incumbent mayor won an overwhelming 62% of the votes, or roughly around 342,000 votes, against Gil Penalosa, pulling about 18% of the results, or around 98,000 votes. Mayor John Tory was declared a landslide winner Monday night, to no surprise, as he has been leading the polls and has 8 years as Toronto's mayor under his belt. Ending up second, Gil Penalosa congratulates his opponent and says that Mayor Tory's success will be Toronto's gain, and that he asks the mayor to listen and use the other candidates' ideas to make Toronto better. Mayor Tory has run his election campaign primarily under the promises of more affordable housing and delivering the Scarborough Subway and Eglinton Crosstown West extension, moving ahead with more LRT lines across the city, all with a $28 billion transit plan. Joshua Santillana, Toronto, Ontario, Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
A source said there are no plans for Prince William to go to Qatar to watch the World Cup next month. The source cited diary commitments as the reason for the Prince of Wales' non-attendance at the World Cup. British media had reported that the Prince had been expected to attend matches as he is president of England's governing football association, yet the source of AFP News did not confirm this. Meanwhile, the Sun tabloid quoted friends of William as saying he might attend if England got to the finals, but only as part of a government delegation. Yet the Football Association declined to respond to an AFP request for comment.
The Belo Monte hydroelectric plant was inaugurated in 2016 with a promise that it will bring progress. But in return, the plant in the Amazon rainforest brought poverty and conflicts over water that caused severe damage to the environment and the livelihoods of local communities there. The dam broke the flood pulse, while the upstream and downstream of the reservoir no longer exists. It made the region as if it were always in flood or always in drought, which resulted in no fish production. The chief of the Miratu village, Giliarde Huruna, showed disappointment in the progress, which has been promised to them by the white people because it only destroyed nature and caused harm to them. He stressed that the progress that they want to have are for the rainforest, or for the forest, the animals and rivers back to their normal state the way they have it before.
3 activists were arrested at the Maurits Schuys Museum in The Hague, Netherlands, after they tried to deface Jan Vermeer's painting, girl with a pearl earring. One of the climate protesters tried to glue himself to the picture, while another doused himself with tomato soup. Museum visitors can be heard in the video saying the action was obscene and saying shame on you to the activists. However, the men accused the bystanders of feeling more outraged by the damage to a painting than the damage done to the planet. The activists were wearing T-shirts inscribed with "Just Stop Oil," a group of British climate change activists that had members slapped King Charles III's wax face with cake. Meanwhile, authorities said that no damage was made to the painting as it was displayed behind a layer of glass.
This painting is protected by glass.
Coming right up, Philippine peso bounces back to 57 and 97 centavos versus the dollar. Elon Musk takes control of Twitter but fires its executives. And Net25's Alex Santos and Emma Tiglao receive Asian TV Awards nominations. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka nang mangamba, sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Ay lalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
We now welcome you back to Mata ng Agila International. The Philippine peso closed the week on a strong note against the US dollar as it appreciated back to the 57 to $1 level. Before the weekend, the peso gained 25 centavos to have 57 pesos and 97 centavos compared to Thursday's finish of 58 pesos and 22 centavos to the dollar. So far this month, today's record is the strongest close since the peso closed its record low of 59 pesos to the dollar. As of 2022's beginning, the local currency has weakened against the dollar by 6 pesos and 97 centavos or 13.7% from 50 pesos and 99 centavos to the dollar as of the end of 2021.
Prime Minister Fumio Kishida announced that Japan will spend $260 billion on a stimulus package to cushion the economy from the impact of a weak yen and inflation. According to fiscal reports, prices are rising in Japan at their fastest rate in 8 years. Kishida hoped that the new comprehensive economic package will revitalize Japan's economy. Over the past 2 years, Japan has already injected hundreds of billions of dollars into its economy to support recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet, energy bills across the country have spiked since the Russia and Ukraine conflict started. Kishida said the stimulus package is also designed to help households and businesses affected by the plummeting yen, currently at 147 against the dollar. However, the nation's central bank is snubbing to budge from the ultra-loose policy that has hammered the currency this year, wiping out more than 20% of its value against the dollar. Bank Governor Haruhiko Kuroda said they would stick to their guns until prices rise in a sustainable manner, adding there would be no change anytime soon.
German economy unexpectedly grew in the third quarter, surprising predictions of a contraction as Europe's powerhouse grapples with high inflation and energy crisis. The official data show that the German output increased by 0.3% quarter on quarter, adding that the expansion was mainly powered by consumer spending. However, the overall outlook for Europe's largest economy remains gloomy as the fallout from Russia's current military operations in Ukraine takes its toll. Economist Karsten Brzezinski said today's positive growth data is a welcome surprise, but he also said it doesn't mean that the German economy will be able to prevent a recession. Brzezinski explained that the recession is only delayed, not canceled.
Elon Musk is now in charge of Twitter and fired its top executive late Thursday in a deal that puts one of the leading platforms for global discourse in the hands of the world's richest man. After the takeover, Musk tweeted that the bird is freed, referring, of course, to the company's iconic avian logo. Musk immediately terminated both Chief Executive Parag Agrawal and the company's Chief Financial Officer and its head of safety. Agrawal was the reason why the Tesla chief was held in court after Musk tried to escape the buyout deal. The takeover happened hours before the court's appointed deadline for Musk to seal the deal in purchasing the social media network. In a tweet, Musk said he will buy Twitter because it is important to the future of civilization to have a common digital town square where a wide range of beliefs can be debated in a healthy manner. Meanwhile, EU Internal Market Commissioner Thierry Breton responded to Musk's tweet that in Europe, the bird or Elon's Twitter must fly by their rules.
Hundreds of aspiring male cricketers flock to Chaman-e-Huzuri Park in Kabul, where they emulate their World Cup heroes on the dusty ground. The dusty ground is an important place for the former and present aspirants. It has been a remarkable training ground for years, which enabled many aspirants to be part of the national team. So even at a young age, the kids want to start on this dust and make it to the international stage. However, a lot of potential players were not able to reach their dream because they are not given the chance, and less has been done for the development of domestic cricket. According to a former Afghanistan cricketer, challenges in playing cricket are still present, but he hopes that the cricket board will find a solution to the problem.
Net 25 continues to be recognized in the field of news and current affairs. In fact, 2 anchors of Mata ng Agila Primetime have been nominated in the 2022 Asian TV Awards. Net 25 anchors Alex Santos and Emma Tiglao are among the nominees in the different categories of the Asian TV Awards 2022. Alex Santos has been nominated for the Best Current Affairs Presenter category for his work in Responde, Mata ng Mamamayan. The public service program airs every Saturday at 6 p.m. and it has been trusted by viewers for its focus on community-based concerns and commitment to action. Meanwhile, Emma Tiglao of Mata ng Agila Primetime has been nominated for Best News Presenter or Anchor category. The news program that airs on weekdays at 6 p.m. delivers factual and informative news under the tagline, Matatag, Matapang, Matapat. She has been part of several historically significant special coverages in the country this year. The Asian TV Awards is scheduled in December 2022. For almost 3 decades, it has recognized personalities in television, including news and current affairs.
Time to get ready, Blinks. Blackpink will be in our area next year as the Philippines will be one of their stops in launching the group's Born Pink World Tour. After 4 years of long wait since their first tour, the South Korean girl group is about to set foot in the world's biggest indoor arena for a 2-day concert. Blackpink's Jisoo, Jennie, Rose, and Lisa will perform at the Philippine Arena on March 25 and 26, 2023, both scheduled at 7 p.m. Tickets will be available at Weverse, pre-sale open on November 18, 2022, and public on-sale open on November 20, 2022.
Are you a Beatles fan and do you want to watch them perform on stage? Well, the Bootleg Beatles are back in the Philippines to revive the soulful performance of your favorite band, the Beatles. 3 years since their last performance in the Philippines, the group said they made their performance exciting for live audiences. The group already planned the Beatles songs that they would play for the concert, which are all-time favorites of Pinoy fans. Now, the group members are all fans of the original Beatles band.
We are huge fans of the Beatles, and all being musicians, it just felt very natural to do a tribute to, which, I mean, I speak for myself, but probably for the other guys as well. I mean, but I would say that probably out of the 4 of us, the Beatles is our most favourite group that we all, it's at the top of our list. So to be able to go out and perform that music live on stage to people, it's just a joy.
The Bootleg Beatles live performance will be on Sunday, October 30 at 8 o'clock in the evening at the PICC Plenary Hall in Pasay City.
In New York City, tens of thousands of fans packed Manhattan's Javits Center for this year's in-person Comic-Con. Abigail Comilas-Tumlao tells us more.
Eager fans streamed into the Jacob Javits Convention Center for New York Comic-Con 2022, the largest pop culture show in the East Coast. After rebounding from the pandemic, organizers said this year was their biggest floor show ever. Fans attending the 4-day event could explore a wide exhibitor list covering anime, games, collectibles, TV, movies, comics, exclusive merchandise, and apparel. They were also able to fill their schedules with star-studded panels and meet with up-and-coming artists at Artist Alley. As always, cosplay was an important feature for fans looking to dress as or pose with their favorite characters. Approximately 200,000 people attended New York Comic-Con this year compared to 150,000 in 2021 because of pandemic restrictions. Abigail Dumlao, New York, New York, Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Art d'Egypte is once again bringing together works from around the world for the second edition of Forever is Now. An almost month-long celebration is set on the pyramids of Giza as the International Art Exhibition will highlight the power of art in the heritage sites from October 27 to November 30. With the theme, Timelessness and the Mysteries of an Ancient Civilization, visitors can expect large-scale specific artworks that will blend with Giza's 4,500-year-old monuments of natural stone. Sustainability also finds its place at Forever is Now too, with artworks created using natural and industrial materials with the message that the future cannot be envisioned without a look at the past.
Let's now take a look back on some historical events that happened on this day, October 28. In 1636, Harvard University, the oldest institute of higher learning in the United States, was founded by the Great and General Court of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. In 1886, U.S. President Grover Cleveland officially dedicated the Statue of Liberty, a gift from the people of France to the people of the United States. And in 1955, American computer programmer and entrepreneur Bill Gates, who co-founded Microsoft, the world's largest personal computer software company, was born.
I'm going to say it.
Go.
Go! Friday!
It's Friday!
And to help you start your weekend, here is a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, an American political figure. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people.
You know, I've always loved that because ever since I heard of the saying, I've always made that as my parameter for knowing or getting to know people.
But sometimes it's just too entertaining to be talking about people.
So true. I guess you'd forgive yourself to every once in a while, discuss people.
But always make sure that more than discussing people, you also talk about big ideas, because we always want to be improving our lives, improving society, and we don't get to do that if we're just talking about people.
Make it a personal responsibility.
Yeah, enough with the gossips. And that is a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. Wherever you're going tonight or spending the rest of your weekend, please take care. I'm CJ Hero.
And I am Nina Richie Alago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.